Okay, so today we're doing a really quick small test on engraving minky cuddle fabric. And our settings are 5% power on a 100-watt CO2 laser. And we're doing 600 millimeters per second for speed and 100 lines. Is it per inch or
per inch? Yes.
Per inch. Okay, so that's the test. And the objective of this is to just shear off the top of the fuzzy fabric and leave an engraved mark. And it's not to cut it or to, melt it, burn through. The challenge I think we're going to have on this machine is that it's a high power machine and they don't typically do very well at extremely low powers, which 5% is very low. Some people would argue that a 100-watt CO2 laser never hits 5%. It doesn't get that low. That there's a bottom there, but it's about 15%. So we're going to see what we can do.
Okay.
Let's go. And this is just a little square. Let's see. I have to move the computer. It engraved a little bit, but I think we're in luck because we're going to need to go higher in terms of the power. Can you open the... Let's see. All right, so you can see that little square there. It's starting to look a little... The color is different. Let's try it at 10%. It is stinky. And I think we might need to increase the lines per inch. Yeah, it didn't get everything, but I am worried that the color will change. I'm afraid it'll be singed. Unless maybe the answer was increasing the lines per inch and not the power, but we're about to find that out. Yep, that's going to burn it. Okay, so we see the color change. That is not working. All right, so what do you think we do? Like 400 or 500 lines per inch? Let's leave the power the same, just out of curiosity. Leave the power the same. Let's take it to 500 lines per inch and see what we get.
That's pretty excessive.
I know, but it's leaving a lot behind.
For most image things, we use like 300 lines per inch.
So I'm not sure anybody heard you.
I have my microphone right here. I'm sure they heard me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's going to definitely burn it. That's not the way to go. You can stop it if you want. So you're at 10%?
Yes.
Can we drop it to 5%? And yeah, that went all the way through. Drop it to 5%, but keep the lines per inch pretty high.
Okay.
That's burning it straight through.
Yeah, you need fewer lines per inch.
All right, so how many do you think? I mean, we're getting close though, because it is leaving a little bit of the base fabric behind. So how many lines per inch were we at?
That was at 500.
500. Let's drop it to 4.
You're going to need to drop it more than that.
So 3?
I would cut it in half.
250?
Yeah.
Okay. Might still be too many. But what's strange is it's not getting everything. Do you think our speed is too fast? Because it's not, it's like the robot lawnmower. It's only hitting like 50% of it.
Well, this is where it might be handy to do a grid.
All right, we'll drop back and do a grid. That was his initial suggestion anyway, and I was the one who was like, no, let's just do it this way. So, okay, we'll be back. Okay, we're back. We have gone down quite the rabbit hole in terms of experimenting with minky, cuddle, and engraving. And as you can see, these are different test patterns, and we're about to do another one that we think we're a lot closer. But Cameron, you made a decision after the first 4 test patterns to defocus the
Yeah,
laser.
so we did a few things. You're skipping ahead.
Okay.
So we were using a 4-inch lens to do our initial tests. We switched to the 2.5-inch lens to see if there would be any difference. There really wasn't much difference with that. So then I decided that I would try to defocus a bit because I think we're getting a little bit too much power, too focused. So I defocused with the 2.5-inch lens by about 5 or 6 millimeters. And that seems to be giving us a better result. And then we've now kind of narrowed it into at least a 600 millimeter per second speed, and we're trying to narrow down how much power and how many lines per inch. So that's the patterns that we're doing now is by power and lines per inch.
Okay, so that's in this bigger test pattern because I wanted to see what it was like. And I'll show you guys this afterwards, but the integrity of the fabric, this is going to be something that's going to be laundered and, go through life. So a lot of these have basically, like scraped the bottom of the fabric so that after a few washes, I'm not sure it would hold together. So we were trying to pick the part of the test pattern that had the best fabric integrity on the back while having the best engraving on the front. And one of the things that I thought was, because this is metal, these, what do you call this stuff?
It's a honeycomb. But we should have shown the bottom of this because you can see that honeycomb pattern on the fabric on the bottom of a lot of these squares.
Right, and we'll show that when we're done here. So what we did was we put particle board under where we're going to do the next test pattern to see if it makes a difference. I don't know about heat conductivity, but this is polyester, so it's basically shearing and melting. And so using the particle board under the pattern, we're wondering if, number one, you won't get the pattern of the honeycomb under it, but number two, if the melting process will act differently.
Right. It'll also change the airflow through the fabric, which could be affecting how it's engraving.
Okay. So do you want to start the test pattern?
Sure.
We also expanded the size of the test pattern so that we could get maybe a little bit better of an idea of what this would look like in a larger design. I think it's already looking better. One of the people we watched online doing this had a cutting mat under it, a sticky cutting mat, much like what you would get with a Cricut or a Sizzix or a Silhouette. The other thing of note is that the other person that we were watching do this on YouTube had a 55 watt, we think, CO2 laser, and this is a 100 watt CO2 laser, and it is very hard to get them to operate. If you have 100 watts, it's very hard to get them to operate at 5% or 3%. It will only go so low. And each laser is different, so you're not going to know exactly how low your laser will go. So it does take a lot of tinkering to get to a setting that's going to work for your laser. So there's that. On the video, this looks grayer where it has engraved than it does in person. And of course, all the color is off because we're under these bright lights. This is actually like a blue-green. And you can't see that here. And this is real time. We haven't sped this up. I mean, the one thing that I am noticing is that we are getting a more even engraving than we used to right on top of the honeycomb. It's more defined, so that's a clue that you put something under it instead of putting it straight on the honeycomb. The demarcation is better now than it is on any of these other test patterns. It looks like a waffle. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see the back of this now so that folks at home can see what I'm talking about with the melting and the integrity of the fabric. So, all right, so this is what he was talking about before. This was on top of the honeycomb, and you can see the pattern there. And now, with it being on top of the particle board, you don't see that. So it's a more even distribution, I think. But you can see here, like that's not going to last a long time in the laundry, but these other squares are going to fare a little better. Well, I think a lot better in some of these cases. So I think what we need to do now is pick one of the squares and we'll do the monogram and show them what we've got. Okay, we picked a lane and we did another test grid. You can see those below. But now we're just going for it. We're using, what are we using this time?
We're using 10% power, 600 millimeters a second, and 175 lines per inch.
Okay. So we're going to see what we get right now. The definition is great. And we do have a piece of, what kind of wood?
It's just plywood.
Plywood, okay. So we put plywood under there so we're not right up against the honeycomb. So just already I can tell that this is going to be enough contrast. You know, you're probably going to put batting and some other fabric on the back of this, or minky to minky, which I don't really recommend, but just because it's so slippery, kind of hard to sew, but not impossible. And we just put a test name with a regular font in between here. But aesthetically, it's a pretty good result. I'm interested to see what the back is going to look like. It's typically something like this is going to be used and washed and used and washed, and depending on, if it's for a child, they'll probably use it for years. So you want to do something that's going to hold up as much as possible. Nothing is forever. Except for you and me, honey.
That's right.
But this is looking pretty good on camera. And it looks great in person. It looks actually a lot better in person. I just can't show it to you because the light is facing down on it directly from above. So you can't see the color or how pretty this really is. I'll take a still photo and attach it when we get out of this fluorescent light.
This isn't fluorescent light.
What is it?
They're LED lights.
LED.
All of them.
They're very blue.
Yes, you can get them in different shades.
Yes. It just throws the color off. If you look at my camera and you look at the blanket, it's a lot prettier in real life. But I'd say that's pretty effective. I'm happy with that until I see the back. All right, moment of truth.
It went through.
Oh, it sure did. Look at that. Yeah. All right.
That was too much power.
Too much power.
Or too many lines.
So what would we do to change that? That's too bad because...
Well, I thought it looked a little bit like it was a little too much to me from the beginning anyway, but I mean, it matches the spot you chose.
Yeah. Well, can we try it at a different, lower setting?
Sure.
All right. We'll be back. All right. We're trying a lower setting. I am known for being a little aggressive with my cuts and engraves, so I told Cameron that the choice of powers and settings is completely up to him this time, and we're going to see what we get. He built this laser from the ground up. He knows it, understands it, every single inch of it, and so he has good judgment with it on a consistent basis. He was the one who decided to defocus the laser, even though all of the instruction we've gotten or guidance we've gotten is to very closely focus the laser. And that has not worked for us at all. That resulted in burning it all the way through. So we still have some definition here, and it actually doesn't look a lot less than what we got with the other one that's right below. A little bit. In case you're wondering, we just put any name there and any font. That's probably not what I would choose. We don't know a Monroe. It's just for experimentation only. I mean, you can definitely see it. The back is going to tell the story. That is the one thing on the other videos we've watched. You haven't been able to see the back side of her result because it was a a two-sided blanket. So after her engrave, she wouldn't have known exactly what she had. But hers looked different than ours. Hers was more of a satiny effect, and we're not getting that at all. We still have fuzz. All right. Moment of truth. Okay. Well, no surprise. You nailed it. That's going to last. You don't have the breakage like here in the other one at all. There's no breakthrough on that. So I wish I could get the color to true up. I'll take a still under better light. Okay, so Cameron and I took a lunch break, and then he came back down here and had a few thoughts. And tell us what you were thinking about, what you changed, and what we're going to do next.
Okay, so I tried a couple of other things. So one is I turned off the air assist, and it's hard to point because
Yeah.
But some of the samples down there with the air assist turned off, and they created a really good contrast. Still have a little bit of issue with integrity on some of them, but it actually seemed to melt a little bit better and leave less fuzz behind. Tried a couple of tests too with just a small amount of air, using about 10 psi on the air assist. All of our previous tests that we did here were at 25 psi, which is actually kind of high. Normally you use air assist for cutting. It's not necessarily recommended for engraving, but there are some times when it is handy for engraving, so it just kind of depends on what you're doing. But in this case, I decided to try without the air assist, and it seemed to do better for the melting. So we're going to try another letter.
All right, so what settings are we using this time?
So this time we're going to use 4% power, 135 lines per inch. We're still at 600 millimeters per second.
Okay,
and the air with no air assist.
No air assist. Okay. All right. So, and this one that I'm focused on, the latest M that you did, we're trying to improve on that.
Yes.
Okay.
It's also worth noting we're still defocused by
Okay. 6
around
millimeters?
5 or 6 millimeters. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's give it a whirl. Wow, that looks like it went through. You sure you've got the settings right?
Yep, it's not going through. It's going very deep, but not through. You'd be seeing wood if it went through.
Oh, that's right. We do have wood under it. Well, that's definitely massive contrast, and like I'm worried about the integrity on the back of the fabric with this, but it looked good on the test sample.
Yeah, well, we'll see, because this is larger than the test sample, so.
Yeah, more area.
Right. And there could be issues with consistency trying to run the laser at this lower power.
Okay. I mean, I can't capture it on camera, but in real life, it does look very good. The lights, it wash out the color, the true colors. They're not trued up. So it has taken us a lot to get to this. And I think that's kind of a message for everybody who's trying to do this on their laser, especially if you have a higher power laser. It's probably going to take more time to dial in. The gal who was doing it with a 55-watt laser seemed to.
Well, she said she had done a lot of testing, and
Yeah,
so
she had done some.
It may have taken her a while to get there too.
I mean, once you dial it in, if you can get it just where you want it, then you're set. And it's a really nice monogram or anything you want to put on a blanket or a backing, or I mean, I'd want this front facing myself, but you could do a quilt back with this and like engrave your quilt label if you know exactly where it's going to go. All right, moment of truth. Let's see that back. It does look nice though. Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to do it. All right. I can't even see. Oh, okay. So it's right here. It didn't burn through. You were right. I think that might be it. I mean, that's kind of what she was talking about. You know, it's a little bit rough because it's melted. And I think you were right all along about the air assist, because the air assist was probably cooling it off to the point where it wasn't melting as well, where you see, you know, you have still a lot of fuzziness here, but you don't have any of that here. It's just.
Yeah, this is very similar. I mean, this was 175 lines per inch instead of the 135, but this is with 10 psi, and this is with no air assist. So there's a huge difference.
I think, yeah, there is an enormous difference in the engraving. I think that's it. I think we need to record these settings for this fabric, and that those are the settings to use going forward, because the back doesn't have any breakthrough on it. I mean, you can see some shadowing, but fabric is completely together. And what you're really seeing, which I thought at first it was going through, what you're really seeing is the melt. And that's what you want to create that contrast. So yay! I would use a thicker font on Monroe, like, that's the curly thing. But I would use a thicker font if I were going to do this with anything else.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I wouldn't change anything. You've done it again.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, engraving Minky Cuddle, which is made of polyester, as most of you know. We did a lot of testing today in a lot of different modalities on the laser, and this is where, shadowing, sorry. This is where we ended up. It's a really, really nice engrave once you get your settings right. As you can see, we had definite issues in the beginning in terms of what the burn rate was going to be. You know, you don't want to go through, and you also don't want anything that's going to be really fragile, because something like this, you know, a blanket, whether it's for a baby or a child or even an adult, you know, if you want to monogram something, you want it to be able to make it through life, washer, dryer, you know, sitting on the sofa. So this is where we ended up. I'm having a hard time shooting this. If I turn on the other overhead, it gets pretty washed out, but here's another take on that. And I would use a thicker font if I were going to put somebody's name in there. This was just, we don't know anybody named Monroe. This was just an experiment, or a series of experiments that we did to get dialed into this for our laser, which is a 100-watt CO2 laser. And if you want to see more detail about how we got here, you can go to our YouTube channel at Cut It Out With Us, and I'll provide a link to that, and you can see all of our struggles to get to what I think is a really, really nice result. I think the color is a little truer here in the end, and I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see what that looks like. But even though it looks like that might be going through the back of the blanket, it's not. It's the way it's melted because it's polyester, and that's what creates this contrast in the engraving. I think it's really nice.